Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out and generate more leads, more sales, more profits. More importantly, so you can go out and have a bigger reach, a bigger impact, and make a bigger contribution. Welcome to this segment of growthtofreedom.com. I have a quick question for you. What can a mad genius and a middle-aged third baseman teach you about getting your next big breakthrough, about achieving prosperity, and a whole lot more? Well, this expert is someone uniquely qualified. Quick backstory. In the early 1990s, I got connected to a gentleman named Michael Wickett, who is a best-selling publisher at Nightingale Conant. My wife at the time's grandmother worked for him. He got us together, and I sat down with Michael. I had just written the manuscript of my first book called A Champion in the Making. And I said, Michael, if you were me really wanting to go into the publishing business, who would you follow? Who would you find to guide you, to coach you, etc.? And one of 5 names popped up. The very first name was Randy Gage. And since that time, I've gone through his copywriting courses, his Speakers Institute, which I'm not even sure exists anymore, and a whole lot more. And fast forward a couple years, a good friend of mine, Joshua Shaffron, who had to help grow and do some amazing things together, was working with Randy on a joint project, and they needed to fill some seats for an event. And lo and behold, we did some campaigns and apparently, did over 6 figures on a teleseminar with Randy as partner at the time, Ford Sakes and more. Now, if you don't know who Randy Gage is, I want to really ask you to lean in here. Say, if you're driving, you want to pull over, put your car in park, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper right now. Why? He is one of the deepest thinkers you're ever going to meet. He's not your typical business gloss over, strategy, tactic person. He's a critical thinker who's going to make you approach your business. He's going to challenge you, and he's going to challenge your life and business in a whole new way. He's the author of 13 books that have been published in 25 languages, including New York Times bestsellers, Risky is the New Safe, and Mad Genius. He's spoken and impacted over 2 million people in over 50 countries. He's a member of the Speakers Hall of Fame and the Direct Selling Hall of Fame. And when he's not prowling the podium or finishing up a manuscript for his next book, you'll probably find him playing third base on his softball team somewhere. So Randy, welcome. It's so grateful to have you here.
I'm honored. I'm honored you upgraded me to middle-age softball player as opposed to senior division.
You don't look like you've aged since I ever got introduced to you. It's amazing.
Trust me, I have. My back,
yeah. Yeah, our body reminds us of that most mornings, right? Yeah. So I want to dive into it because we just have a few minutes, and that was our promise. I mean, you've been on this journey for decades, influenced, impact millions of it. We've just gone through one of the greatest, crises, or maybe we're still in the middle of it. A lot of uncertainty out there. What do you see are some of the biggest mistakes that people are making right now, either, as it relates specifically to their business combined with their life?
The biggest mistakes I see them making now are the same ones they usually make, which is they're reacting to stimulus around them. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the COVID-19 pandemic, the recent presidential election, the latest hurricane that's coming through or went through, they're reacting to that. They're not mindfully planning ahead. They're not mindfully thinking, okay, how do I look around the corner? How do I get ahead of what's coming out? And just the big questions. Who do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to live? What kind of business do I want to be working in? I don't think they're doing enough self-examination.
So what can someone do then to, kind of get on track, if you will? Sometimes unlearning is far more valuable than learning, right? To get on track. So what advice would you give someone, 1 to 3 strategies that could help them get that next big breakthrough?
one of the things I wrote in Mad Genius was to schedule thinking time every week. And everybody who read the book is like, oh my God, what a great idea. Yeah, that's exactly what I need to do. And then they never did it. You know, when I talk to people in coaching, people in my coaching program, things like that, they're kind of stuck and they don't know really what they want to be when they grow up. And I say, you know, when is the last time you actually unplugged your devices and spent 45 minutes in thought with yourself? Right. And we could talk about meditation and have some, but like things like that, I've just determined, okay, I have to have self-development time in the morning. I don't have any music playing in my house. I don't have any TVs, radios playing in my house. When I'm writing, I'm writing. And when I'm not writing, I'm thinking. So even when I'm making my bed, I'm preparing my protein shake after my workout or whatever, I don't have background noise. I'm alone with my thoughts. So I kind of was joking in this blog I wrote the other day that the second best prosperity advice I could ever give you is unplug from your devices once a week for 45 minutes or 60 minutes and be alone with your thoughts, and just have a journal and a pen nearby if you want to journal something down. But not a phone, not a tablet, because then you're going to get the email thing or the breaking news alert or any of that crap. And just give yourself that chance. And then of course, they always say, well, then what's the first most important? And that question and that answer is, when you charge your phone and your devices at night, put it in a different room than you sleep. Right? There's so many people, their Instagram post is the last thing they do before they go to bed. And the CNN breaking news alert is the first thing they see when they wake up. And the human mind cannot operate at a high level if you're given it that kind of stimuli. So if you started with that kind of just self-examination time, that's what leads you to the big picture stuff. I got on my blog right now. I think I've done 3 so far. I think there's 7 main areas of your life that you make decisions on, and they're going to determine if you're healthy, happy, and prosperous. Right? And you get a philosophy in each of those areas. Like health, you have a philosophy about health. You think either food comes from factories and your kitchen is filled with stuff with expiration dates 2 years from now, or you think food should be natural, like fruits and vegetables and nuts, right? You think exercise is just for elite athletes, or you think it's that everybody needs exercise, right? You create a philosophy around that. You create a philosophy around relationships. You create a philosophy around money and finance, right? So I picked those 7 areas, and that's what I'm working on in the blog right now. And I think that's what people don't realize is they develop that philosophy usually when they were a kid, unknowingly, subconsciously, just like if your parents argued all the time and one cheated on the other or they were abusive. You developed a philosophy about relationships and marriage that before you were 10 years old, that you didn't even know you developed it, but it's there, right?
Yep.
So how often as adults do we actually go back and say, what is my philosophy in this area? What are the core foundational beliefs that I have in this area? And that's the kind of real self-examination I'm talking about.
Now, over the decades, you've been involved in direct selling. You've had your Speakers Institute. You've had a training business. I mean, you've had your hands in a lot of different, businesses. Why are you doing what you're doing? I mean, you could have retired many moons ago. And, I love getting this psychology and philosophy from someone who just continues to appear to live their passion. Why do you continue to do what you do, Randy?
Well, I retired when I was like 40. I think, my first midlife crisis, and that lasted a few months. And then I realized I can't do this. I need to be doing something significant. I thought I'm going to race cars, drink out of a coconut, and play softball every day. Those would be my life. And I realized, no, that's a really vapid, shallow life with no challenge and no.
And you're still doing those three things, but you're still doing the business stuff too.
Right. Because I realized, hey, my work, I like I told you just before we went live with this, that, I just sent the 14th book to the publisher. It's called Radical Rebirth. And I feel like it's the culmination of all my work so far in prosperity and success and the mental part of the game and all of that. And that's what I put up the like the pre-order page, people who want to pre-order, which, by the way, you guys watching is, I hope I got this right, randygage.com/radical rebirth. And, I put something to the effect like, warning, when you read this book, you might quit your job, divorce your spouse, run away with the circus, join a lesbian commune, run away with the circus, get a tattoo, discover your real sexuality, or all of the above, because that's what real self-examination should be. It should be uncomfortable. It should be threatening. It should be, how many people are dentists because 3 generations of their family were dentists?
Yep.
Or they're soldiers because every generation since the Civil War has been in the military. Where sometimes we just, like me, that was my path. I was going to grow up in Madison, Wisconsin, and go to Fish Fries on Friday night and drink Pabst Blue Ribbon beer and be a fan of the Green Bay Packers and work at the auto factory, the GM factory in Janesville. And that's what you did. And when I grew up then in Wisconsin, and I realized, well, I don't even like fish. I hate ugly uniforms. I hate cold winter. And, I want to live somewhere with palm trees and do different things. And so my life was transformed. At 17 years old, I had a beat up 71 Plymouth. I packed everything that would fit into it. And I drove down to Miami by myself at 17 years old. I had no apartment. I didn't have a job. I didn't know a single soul in Miami. But I had a dream that I wanted to live in a tropical paradise. And I stayed at a roach-infested hooker hotel on Biscayne Boulevard, which was $17 a night or $11 a night for like 3 months until I had found a job and saved up enough money to deposit and get an apartment and everything. But that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because it was the result of not just accepting the pathway that seemed to be laid out for me, but actually doing the critical thinking, doing the self-examination of, is that really the life that I want to live?
And speaking of living the life you want to live, this journey you've taken that took you from that place, right, in that roach-infested place, right, to now having impacted millions and millions of people, right?
Yeah.
I can see the smile, on your face, because, you love doing that. You love turning people on, as I observe it. You love being able to challenge people to be their better selves, right? It's got to be a little uncomfortable, right? It's like irritated oysters create pearls.
And you asked about retirement. Swatch, right? The Swatch watches. So I was doing a symposium in Central Europe with the founder of Swatch. Okay, this is back in the late 90s. And he was just, back then, I think he was like 80. And we were doing, and he was just this ornery character, just bigger than life. He wore like 4 watches. He'd have and he owned like 9 watch companies, right? Swatches was just one of them. He had watches that sold for $200,000. He had $50,000 lines. And so he had 9 watch companies, and he had them all competing with each other. So he wore 4 of them. You know, he'd have an $11 Swatch and a $200,000 one and whatever. So we're doing the press conference to promote this big conference that he and I are doing. And one of this young reporter says to him, you know, you're like in your 80s and you've already worth billions of dollars and you've, you know, founded all these companies. Have you ever thought about retiring? And he said, entrepreneurs are artists, and artists never retire.
Mm.
And the moment he spoke those words, I said, oh my God, that's why I couldn't retire. That's why I couldn't say, because I'm an artist, because what I do is an art form. And that, you know, and I've really kept that philosophy ever since. And yeah, so I don't ever see myself retiring. I feel like, so I literally, for you guys watching, I had told Dan 3 minutes before we started this, I had sent the final manuscript, but I'm already working on book number 15, right?
Yep.
And I've got an outline for book number 16, right? Because I have stuff that I want to share, stuff that I have to get out, because I think it's important for people. And so that's what I think life is about, is, you know, we have to keep examining ourselves and challenging ourselves to keep moving toward, to stay on this pathway of becoming sorry about that. I thought I had my phone off. You know, becoming the highest possible version of ourselves. That's what the journey's got to be about.
And I'm curious, Randy, like, as you think, you know, in your journey, and maybe it's now, maybe it's in the past, who are those you've looked to, whether you call them mentors, advisors, coaches, that have inspired or inspire you, right, to get beyond your own level of thinking?
Ayn Rand, that was, you know, Atlas Shrugged was the most influential book I've ever read. Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind, Reverend Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Emily Cady. Those are I'm more of a reader, so books really speak to me, and those were kind of the books that really challenged my beliefs and got me thinking about what I think about. So those people really were probably my. I never met them because most of them, right? I mean, I met a few. I met Og Mandino, for instance. I knew Og. And I knew Jim Rohn, and so I've known some people like that, but most of them were people that were already no longer on this earth, but they had left these books, which was their continuing work to influence us.
Yeah, what I love about that perspective too is the experts and the advisors, if you will, the collective you named, they're not tactical based teachers. They're principle based teachers.
Yeah.
Philosophy based. And that's what I love about the work that you represent, is it's philosophy based. It's timeless. Like, it'll be good today. It'll be good in 3 decades, at least overall, the overall body of work. What, you know, if someone wanted to go deeper with you, right? You've got amazing work. You've got an amazing body of work and all kinds of different facets. Where can people connect with you, Randy? Where can they get in touch with you to learn more?
Okay, so randygage.com, that's kind of my Starfleet command site. You can find everything on there. I've got a blog, I've got a prosperity podcast. Whenever I'm doing, I have public programs I'm doing, you could find them on there. Whenever my next book is going to come out, you read about it there. And then I have a newsletter called Gage on Prosperity. So that's right on the homepage. I would suggest people sign up for that. And I put out a newsletter each week called Friday Philosophy, just dealing with something that I'm thinking about that I think you should be thinking about.
And I would encourage you, go to randygage.com. I know that a couple of our mutual friends, Randy, one wanted to say hi, Gail Kingsbury, who is going to be a part of this celebration of 300 episodes and 30 years of my journey and the important people in it. She's also one of them, and she wanted me to mention.
Yeah, give her my best.
Yes, and Stephanie Frank, who I believe you know Stephanie really well. We've been friends for about 20 years. And I want to encourage you, go check out Randy's work. I'll finish the story, close the loop. Michael Wickett shared 5 people I should follow. The number one person was Randy Gage. I started studying Randy's stuff, and it was a catalyst to learning how to write copy, to communicate better, to influence better, ultimately to sell better, either online, offline, in print, or otherwise. That led to a $20 million company, not once that got sold, but 2 companies that ultimately got sold as a catalyst from that beginning. Now, I can't promise you you're going to do that. I'm going to say you'll probably do nothing. You'll probably get nothing. You'll probably, all that sort of disclaimer stuff that you want to add. But what if Michael Wickett would not have said, go learn from Randy Gage? What would it have cost me? The reason I asked Randy to be here is I know how he was a catalyst, an igniter for me, and I'd love him to be an igniter for you. Go check out his work. Go to randygage.com. That's randygage.com. Check out the newsletter. Check out the Prosperity Program. Check out his new books. There's a wealth of wisdom that he will bring you in a very easy to understand, practical way. But be warned, you will be challenged. You definitely will be challenged. Now, Randy, what would be 1 to 3 action steps you hope our viewers, our listeners take from our short time together today?
Really set aside that thinking time. Right? Get a look at your planner, whether you do it on your phone or you have a paper one, whatever, and literally say, okay, on Thursday between 3 o'clock and 3:45, I'm going to schedule some thinking time. And then I would say, check out your morning routine. What is can you work around your schedule to start your day with some self-development time? And don't check the email box and don't check the phone alerts, but start with a positive podcast or reading a positive book, personal growth, self-development. And I think you really create your consciousness for the day, by that how you spend the first half an hour of your day is really going to determine how happy, how productive, how influential you're going to be during the day. So I'm a big believer in that, setting your mindset and your intentions that way.
I encourage you, take action with what Randy shared with you. Build in that thinking time, set the time to schedule, check out your morning ritual, get that 30 to 60 minutes for you. Not everybody else, but for you, and watch what happens. Randy, it's a pleasure to have you, my friend. Thank you.
Great to be on again.
So take action. What are you going to do with this information? Is it just going to be entertainment and you're going to have it come in, or are you going to apply what Randy shared with you? Number 1, I also want you to go to randygage.com. Check out what he's doing, all the incredible resources. Number 2, take action with this and let us know. Send me an email, drop me a line. Share this with someone you care about. If you know another founder, CEO, business owner, entrepreneur who is looking for strategies that are proven and timeless, decades of experience right here, introduce them to this episode, this series. growthtofreedom.com/300. That's growthtofreedom.com/300. If you never want to miss an episode, go to growthtofreedom.com/subscribe. That's growthtofreedom.com/subscribe. Seize the day. Make it a great week. We'll see you next time on another session, growthtofreedom.com. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day? Or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com.